Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Black Rose Wars Duel Void. So if you've seen the other Black Rose Wars games, you're familiar with the rules. This is a little bit more simplified version of the game, the Duels game, where it's two players versus each other head-on on a smaller map using one spell school. There's a couple other minor rules. I go over more of it in the Duel Lex video. This video, I'm gonna go just brief run through. If you want to see more of an explanation, a little bit more explanation, check out the Lex. If you want to know how to play Black Rose Wars, go check out the how to play video I have for that, or the rules video for that for the original game, for Rebirth. But yeah, so the idea of the Duels games is they wanted to make a game so it's a little bit quicker for two players to sit down and blitz their game quicker. So they made a smaller map. So if we look at the back of the box here, we're gonna see this. You have 7 rooms instead of the normal full amount. I forgot how many others are. 14, 15 rooms. No, 3 times 21 rooms, 22. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, you're playing head-to-head, and you only use one library. So instead of having 4 or 5 different libraries out, the different spell schools you have to dig through and go through and pick stuff, you are both sharing the same one. So you're going to be drawing the same cards from the same thing. You're going to be playing stuff against that other part of the book, which makes it for really interesting. What's also fun about this game is like 99% compatible back and forth between each other. So anything from the Duels games here can go into Black Rose Wars and vice versa. Less exception from this. Everything from Duels can go over that way. Some of the stuff from Black Rose Wars, the full game, might not work in Duels or might not work as well. Two of the things is this has a completely different questing event system. So instead of having a deck of cards, you have standard cards that are sitting out so you can see what they are. They're dual sided, so it's really cool. You get some different options to look through. So nothing that involves having to do anything with quests or events will work at all in this game. Because they don't draw and do stuff. There's minor exceptions to that. Is if it's saying if you solve a quest and or to solve a quest or to unsolve a quest, is one thing. But anything that makes you draw event cards or draw a bunch of different quests, there aren't any quest cards to draw. The other thing is some of these spell schools from Black Rose Wars are meant to have strategies that take a little while to kick off, or a little bit more complex. And this game might not have the time frame. It is 4 turns long. So that's why it's definitely a lot quicker. But yeah, it's cool. So we get 2 new mages in here. One new evocation with 3 models of it. A new spell school. We get Void, which is semi-new. Which I'll explain that when we get to it. And then we also have some new rooms, new counters, new bases. Now you can pick up the Duel Void play 100% by itself. You can pick up Duel Lex, mix and match them together. Then you can pick up any expansion or promo thing, mix and match guys in there as much as you want. So that's really neat in that fact. So we'll kind of look at all the different components in there, and we get this one's obviously kind of a little based off Cthulhu-esque. So let's take a look at the board first before we look at anything else. So we have the big board that unfolds here. Maybe pull this out of the way for a second. I'll drop my box over here. Alright, yes, we have the double sides of the board, which this is actually really cool for a couple of reasons. One, has all the different spots in here. You have these little pieces that pop out so you can put your cubes in there. I just didn't pop any of mine out yet. But you have the side for each mage. So you have like their mage card. Their evocation cards go down here. If they have any other quick spell cards, they can go there. Their deck goes down there. Keeps track of their life. This is their cell. So instead of having a full extra thing, if your guy dies, they go in the cell there. Very cool. What is also neat about this is the way the board is built up. So this one actually has us at like an L-shaped, or not an L-shaped, like a line angle instead of being centered. So it's kind of cool because the Lex game didn't do that. And the regular game doesn't do that either. So this kind of gets a different step. And we have one side for green, one side for purple. And then at the bottom down here, we have a spot for our event card and our quest cards, which are going to be these big giant cards here, which we'll look at more individually, but they're all double-sided, so we get some options, but they'll sit on the board, and then they'll keep track of that for us. And then down there is the stuff for the Black Rose Wars. We're going to get 3 bases for our evocations. And then we have our cubes for each different colors. Now, they're only bases for the locations. There's none for the actual mages themselves because there's only going to be 2 people. So hopefully you can keep track of which of the 2 characters are yours. And then there are no larger bases because there's no larger figures. So if you are adding like something from one of the expansions or the bigger game or the base game, you obviously are going to have the bases on the bigger game, and then you can use them to use your larger evocations if you choose to. But if you get like something from a crossover from like Nova Yekis or one of the promo characters, then you might not have the base to match them. But then you probably only have one of those miniatures. So again, it should be fairly easy with only 2 people to know who got what. So very cool. So that's that right there. Alright, then let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other components here really quick. We're going to have our activation tiles for our brand new rooms. Each one will replace one of the rooms in the other things. So there's like Black Rose, Cemetery, Pleasure Room, Laboratory. But they have a italicized name to show that's a different version of it. We have our activation tokens, our persistent tokens, our trophy, our crown for our first player. And they also have some idols, which have some numbers 1 through 7, which are used for a special game mode for their scenario. We're going to have our brand new rooms. So it works the same way as any other room, just really cool. And then let's go, and then we'll have 2 big reference cards here. Just again, help explain. These should be the exact same as the ones from, basically the exact same ones from the core game. It's just explaining how the main game is played. Explore, yeah, fighting, action, command. It's not actually running through how the turns are. It's just to give you reference for what you can do on your turn. And the game is played the exact same way as a core game. Let's go ahead and hop right into our mages. So we're going to look at this guy first, Alizard. And what's also cool, I didn't show off in here. You show that really quick. Before we get into Alizard, there is a story in here. So we're going to read through in here. It's the Black Rose Wars competing against the old ones from Cthulhu Legends. Let's see if they have another page with some more information on it. No. But yeah, so we're going to get that. It's kind of neat. There's a little story behind why they're doing this or what's happening here. And also neat, I like with the way these games work is it, like all the different expansions like Silk Road and North Wind and all these different things. They show off like there's more than one lodge with the Black Roses trying to control. And then ideally doing it like this is kind of neat where you gotta set up the room in a different way because it doesn't say do any of that in the core game. So now you're like, oh, hey, that's kind of a neat way you could like set the game up in like the tiles up in different patterns, maybe expanding them out or doing different shapes or whatever. So you're going to change how the game works. And you could add that to your normal game. But here we have Alizard. So he has 12 health, 6 hand, 2 attack, 2 movement, and 2 quests he can do. So that's a little bit different stats than some of the normal guys. Because normal guys usually have, usually it's like 10 and, I think it's 10 and 7. Or it's 11 and 8 for their hand. It's usually just a crossover between them. He actually goes a little bit less hand size for a little bit more health. Let's switch to his miniature there. So yeah, being kind of like a more Cthulhu-esque set. Elder ones. He's got a little bit more tentacly body in there, but a big giant eyeball in the middle. Mask on his face. Definitely looks cool, though. Interesting to paint that eyeball, though. Like little lines around it. Kind of like decaying flesh. So yeah, you can see him again in there a little bit more. Very interesting. So let's look at his personal spells. So we get 3 copies of these, of course. So he's got Symbiosis. Continues to spell that targets a mage. Persistent. After resolve the effect with a summon keyword, summon a Dagon. Or a Dagon. At 0 space of you. So Dagons are the evocations for this set here. So we'll look at them after we look at the mages. But yes, after you resolve this, do another summon with something else, you can summon a Dagon. So this is cool, because if you mix in a different spell book, he can still summon these guys no matter what. His other side is contingency as a special. Choose one of your evocations that activates. Choose one of your evocations other than the previous one, it activates and has +1 attack. So he's going to be all about summoning. That's his whole deal here. Alright. Then up next we have our second mage. So we have Alice, who looks like an innocent little girl, but if I remember right, from the story, I don't know if they tell it in here at all, but from like the event or the Kickstarter for it, when they talked about the characters, I think she's like 100 years old and she's cursed. His Terran looks kind of like a Necronomicon, but she has 11 health, 7 cards, so you see a little bit of difference there. Less health, but more cards. 2, 2, and 2. And then her miniature is going to look like this. So here's this big giant demon that's possessed behind her. That kind of follows her around in the dark. Very interesting. This is a neat way to do like some of these odder characters as well. Like, right, so the regular Black Rose Wars just sort of focuses on, like, regular type of mages or people from the Renaissance era world. Here we get, like, Cthulhu's guys. Lex makes are, like, knights and skeletons. So just kind of some more interesting stuff there. And this is kind of a little doll. Very cool. Then let's look at her. Her personal spells are the Dark Passenger. So you can see her, and then the other side is her little Dark Passenger. Combat spell, targets mage. Persistent. When you inflict damage with a spell on another mage, you may inflict damage +1 and place 1 instability in a space with them. So she's going to do extra damage and place instability for hurting guys. And then on the other side, she has targets evocations. Remove an evocation with a health of value 3 or less. If you do summon an evocation of the same type as a removed one in a space 0 from you, the owner of the removed evocation gains a power point. So basically, you're sacrificing their evocations to get your own, but they're getting a little slight reward out of it. And this is also fun the way this works for these duel games, because it's so limited turns. Can you really risk giving up that 1 point? If you're playing a big long game where you have to, or eventually someone has to get, 36 points to win, right? You could probably sacrifice a point here or there. But this game where it's 4 rounds and not based on how many points you get, you may not be willing to give up that point unless that evocation is going to do something that gets you a bunch of extra stuff. So that's awesome. Alright, then we also get, some forgotten spells. We got 2 of them. We have Touch of the Old Ones. Combat spell targeting a mage. Persistent. When you enter a room, place 1 instability and inflict 1 damage in that room. Nice. So basically, you get move. Once you move around, you get activate this stuff. On the other side, we have place up to 8 instability in a minimum of 4 different rooms. I feel like, again, with this shortened timeline, this could be crazy to, like, try and fill up a bunch. But also, we only have 4 turns. Trying to maybe get a forgotten spell might not be easy to do. Their other one is we have Return to the Origins. Contingency spell targeting any space. All other mages discard the trophy obtained. So nice, so you can kind of get rid of that. And then we have Return to the Origins. Continue targeting a mage. Heal all the damage you have suffered. Inflict a number of damage on the target equal to the number healed by this effect. Oh, so that's probably cool. That's pretty cool. Nice. Those are very, very interesting things. All right. Then we're gonna have our evocations. We're gonna have Dagon. So when Dagon must perform an attack, its controller may decide not to have it perform any damage and place one instability instead. When Dagon is defeated or removed, its controller converts two instability in that area. So it has 2 health, 2 movement, and 2 attack. And it's a demon. So there might be other cards that affect the demons as well, so it gives us some more. So there is the Dagon miniature. It's kind of like a shark-looking being, like shark snake tentacle thing. Eldritch Horror. We do get 3 of these, so that's fun. Alright, so something else to mention with them and along with our school is Void. So Void and Dagon are tied together, and they were in the original Black Rose Wars, not Rebirth, but the very original one. So one thing they did by pulling this out is they wanted to try and see if they could take stuff from the original game, update the spells to kind of fit how they did Rebirth, because when they did Rebirth, it was almost like a 2.0 version of the game. And this is one of the sets they took. They thought it would be a fun one to take from the original set and bring it back and see how they could kind of reword it and make it fit in with all the same type of things. Although they are still compatible with the original ones, they just updated some of the text and the thing. They wanted to just see how it would work and how well it looks. I unfortunately don't have the original one to show off. Hopefully again in the future. Yeah, so it's kind of neat. So if you have that, you might have 2 copies of these, and it'll be fun to eventually get that and see how they're different. But so Void has Despoiler and Weaver. You can see a lot of contingency spells down here, a lot of attack spells up here. But also interesting to note, just like Lex, there are no traps or protection spells. And I think it's because the game is so short, they didn't want you to have a bunch of stuff with that. So again, that might be some of the stuff that doesn't cross over well into duels, is having a bunch of traps. Because like, oh, I placed a trap in this room, they might never, it might not get hit just because it's so, you only have so many turns to do it in. It might be interesting to see how it plays though. Alright, so this school specializes in manipulating instability and the summoning of Dagons, which amplify the influence of the mage who controls them on the instability present in Lodge. Many of the spells have persistent effects in the school allow for unpredictable combinations. So this is going to be a lot of persistent effects. You cast them, and it's going to deal stuff over time, and along with playing with the instability. So let's look at what we have here. We have, and we'll zoom back in on these a little bit. We have the Shub Niggeroth Embrace. So it continues to spell persistent. When you suffer damage due to a spell, ignore one of those damage. It can be 0. So you can ignore 0 damage. And why would you ever want to do that? Because there might be a card that says, if you take damage, this effect happens. So maybe you have another thing that says, hey, prevent damage. But the other card might say, oh, you take damage too. So it could be reasonable for that. The other side is persistent. When you inflict damage with a spell, you inflict that damage +1. Your evocations have +1 attack. Azathoth Chasm. Inflict 2 damage and place 2 instability. Or, alternatively, you can inflict 3 damage and place 1 instability. So it just kind of depends on which one you need to do more of at the time. Abysm. Persistent. When a model enters a target room, inflict 2 damage on that model. And I think these are going to be, again, one of the neat things about the way this says, because there's so fewer rooms, is targeting a room with an effect, or something that hits multiple rooms, or stuff like that, hits this and then just changes into another room, you're going to probably have a better chance of hitting more different things. You place this, especially at this mode where it's like that line, because to get from one side to the other, they're going to have to cross through more rooms, as opposed to where when it's in like a circle, they can kind of go around the outside if they want. So yeah, it's very interesting how some of these will work. Your strategies will work different in the duels mode, based on size of the map and the timer. So here we have persistent. When a mage enters this room, placing instability in that room. So do you want damage or instability? Nightmare Absinthe. Persistently, you perform a cast a spell action before revealing the spell. Place 1 instability in that room. Or in the room you're in, I guess, rather. Or, persistence. When the target performs cast a spell before revealing them, place 1 in that spot. So yeah, instability in your spot or instability in your opponent's spot. All about manipulating that instability. Eldritch Tentacle. Inflict 2 damage. Activate target room. Ooh, nice. And then we have, or, there's a lot. Choose one of your evocations in the lodge. Place it in the target room. The evocation activates. Choose one of your evocations other than the previous one. Place it in the target room, and that evocation activates. So yeah, you can find a way to summon guys quick. The Rite of Haster. Place 1 instability and convert 1 instability. Nice. Just gets us some good stuff there. Or place 1 instability in a room of the target evocation. The target activates under your control. The Faceless Power. Choose one of your active quests. Remove a number of your instability from the target room as follows. First moon, 1. Second moon, 2. Third moon, 3 instability. If you do, solve the chosen quest. So again, this one's going to work a little bit different because there's no moon phases in this game. So yeah, I would have to assume it would just be based on 1. So it's like, you might be like, well then why would you include this card in it? It was already designed, it works well in the full game. It just doesn't work as well in this one. So just, if you get this card, you're just going to probably play it for the other side. Remove 3 of your instability. If you do, gain 2 points. So yeah, cool. We have Consume the Void. Removing evocation with a health value of 3 or less. If you do and it's a demon, gain 1 point. So if you remove your Gaigons, you'll gain an extra point. Or if you have another demon. And here we have Consume the Void. The other side, summon a Gaigon. You may remove 1 instability from the target room. If you do, it activates. Legacy of the Void. Gain 1 point. Persistent. When you must choose a target for a spell, you consider rooms with demons in them as if they were 1 space from you. Oh, neat. So you can target rooms with demons, regardless of that, as if they're right next to you. That's fun. And then otherwise just summon a Gaigon. Echoes of the Void. Remove 1 of your demons. If you do, look at 2 quests of the current moon deck. Draw one among them and discard the others. So again, this one's not going to be at all useful in this game because there's no moon deck. But you can definitely use it to summon a Gaigon and activate. We have Controlled Madness. Move 3 of your evocation. If you do, discard this card in your... If you do, discard this card in your memories and replace it with a ready card from your hand. Then perform a cast a spell action revealing that spell. If you do discard this card, I didn't mean discard it to your memories and replace it with a ready spell from your hand. Then perform cast a spell revealing it. So basically, it's just letting you plan ahead. Kind of like you can basically at some point remove 3 and you can swap to a card that's in your hand. Interesting. Because why wouldn't you just... I guess the only reason you might say you wouldn't play that card ahead of time, because maybe you might be like, hey, this a card that's a mage that's in my room. There's no currently mage in my room. You could play this ahead of time, and then it's like, oh no, they moved in my room. Now I can play that card. I guess it's interesting. It could have some really good uses. Or lose 2 points if you do draw 2 cards from your library, from your memory. Discard one of them. You may place this card in your memories and then replace it with the other card drawn, placed in your hand. Okay, so the one lets you get a card from your hand and play it, and potentially use it right away. This one instead lets you draw cards from your pile, your used pile, and then get them back and have them ready to use. And then our last void card is Honoric Step. Persistent, you may perform the following action. Disturb, physical action. Move up to 2, you may perform an attack against a model in your space. And then we have Persistent, you cannot be chosen as the target of an attack of an evocations. So one lets you do extra damage, one lets you avoid some damage, which is definitely cool. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at our different rooms. So we have the Deep Black Rose room. Mage, discard 1 card from your quick slot and 1 card from your hand if you do draw Forgotten Spells. So it's a different way to get a draw Forgotten Spells. Then if we flip that over, we have the rebuilt side. Oh, a bunch of tentacles coming out, and then you rebuild it. You sealed it back up. And we have our activation there. It says discard 1 card from your ready slot and 3 from your hand. If you do, draw 2 Forgotten Spells. Ooh. So you have to discard 4 cards, but at least you have to discard basically your entire hand. Probably, but you get 2 Forgotten Spells, which could be very powerful. And again, Quicker Duel having also 2 very powerful spells could be very, very crazy. I mean, look at these, right? Heal everything, or get rid of the trophy so you can keep that, or 8 instability. So you can also make a good comeback with that one. Alright, then we have Whale's Cemetery. 0 space, summon a Diagon. So a bunch of coffins and everything there, and we sealed the hole in the ground. Still some Eldritch stuff over here, which is kind of interesting. We have any spot, summon a Diagon. It activates and it activates. Oh, that's crazy. For our yellow room, we have Abyssal Observatory. So there's a giant telescope with some giant scaly tentacles coming out of it. If we repair it, we don't have to worry about that. This would almost be a fun one to play the original way almost. It'd be fun to almost play it where it's like, you start with the regular room and then you add the instability and then it flips over to the other side. But unfortunately they don't have the dual holes in there. Alright, so it says, at any spot, lose 1 point. If you do remove all your evocations from the lodge, yours included, in the order you prefer. Because there might be an effect that triggers if things get removed. But nice, lets you get rid of stuff. Empties out the field. For green, we have Forge of the Void. So it's like a cauldron spilled over. If we repair that, we have Forge of the Void. It says any space remove or convert to instability. For our red room, we have Lost Alchemic Laboratory. So, Mage 1 space away, inflict 2 damage. I'm getting some, inky tendrils in there. And then we repaired it. Looks like a nice, friendly laboratory. So Mage draws 2 random cards from your memory pile. For our blue room, we have Blasphemous Oracle Room. Yeah, definitely looks blasphemous there. Doesn't look a whole lot better here, to be honest. Look at Cthulhu statue in the middle. Mage draws 1 card from your Grimoire, and then draw 1 random card from your memories. And then our last room is the purple room, the Ancient Pleasures room. I don't know if I want to be in a pleasure room in the Cthulhu world here. There's a hand chair. Does that stay a hand chair? It sure does. And there's still a giant tentacly monster in the bed. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily any better. Oh, did we even read what this did? We did not. Choose a discard pile from the library school. Draw one random card from it. So again, with this Duels one, it's going to be one of the cards from the Void deck or whatever one deck you're using. Again, then if you're playing with multiple decks in a full game, it's going to become more interesting. You have more options. And then for our other side, we have Mage, choose a discard pile from artist, search your card for it, and draw it. Again, still powerful, right? You get a card that's been used already at some point, or it was given up. So definitely neat there. Alright, then let's look at our quest cards. So our quest cards are double-sided. So basically, the quick way on how these work is if you perform one of the quests, you do the italicized thing, you get the ability. If you put a cube on there so you know that it's been completed. So anyone can complete any of the 6 quests because you'll have 2 of these out at all time. But if you don't complete them at the end of the game, this is how many points the rose gets. So we have Dominion. Each room in which you placed a majority of the instability is rebuilt. The Mage inflict. Again, they all do the same basic thing after you complete them. So there's no different extra special things. It says that Mage is completed. It says the rose inflicts 1 damage to you, and you gain 1 rose. So basically, every time you complete it, you gain a point. Points equal basically what's on the side as well instead of the black rose, and they take that much damage. So you gotta kind of pay attention to that. The Hunter. You defeated or removed 2 evocations during one of your activations, and you take 2 damage and gain 2 points. Or the Cultist. You have at least 3 revealed spells with 3 different elements among the 4 of them. So not amongst everything. Actually, water, earth, profane, or magic. Which, if we looked at here, we have magic, profane, and water. So you wouldn't have the earth one in the void thing. So you wouldn't even have that as an option. On the other side, we get a little bit more points. We want to play get a little bit higher points here. We have Summoner. You own 3 evocations. Take 2 damage, gain 2 points. Obscure. You have at least 4 profane spells revealed. Or Bloody. You obtain at least 3 trophies. Cool. And then on our other quest card, we have Devoted. You drew 1 forgotten spell. Builder. You have at least 4 instability placed in a single room. And Dominion of the Rose. The Black Rose room is rebuilt, and you place the majority of the instability on it. And on the other hand, we have Insight. You place the instability in the last available slot in a room. Hostile. You have removed at least 1 instability twice during a single activation. Or Seeing the Abyss. You have at least 3 water spells revealed. Cool. Alright, then we have our event card. So this will work sort of like drawing the things. Is turn 1, you'll draw this event. Turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, and you'll put a cube on the board to keep track of which ones. So this one says, turn 1, Swirl of Force. Special. The Black Rose gains 2 points and places 1 instability in each room. Each mage summons a Dagon in the Black Rose room. Turn 2, collateral damage. Each mage the rose gains 2 points and converts 3 damage on all mages. Turn 3, Power of the Great Old Ones. The Black Rose gains 1 point, converts 2 damage in each room adjacent to the Black Rose room. And turn 4, Tidal Wave. The Black Rose gains 2 points and inflicts 3 damage on each model in the lodge. So, of course, these are events and none of them are generally that helpful. The first one's not bad. You get a free summon. But after that, it kind of goes downhill. On the other side, we have turn 1, Tide. The rose gains 1 point. All spells are consumed water till the end of the turn. Turn 2, Unstable Mark. Rose gains 1 point. Mages cannot use Mark of the Old Ones till the end of the turn. So the Mark of the Old Ones are going to be some special miniature cards we're going to get into in just a moment. And now my camera unfocused because I did that. Turn 3, Legion. The Rose gains 3 points till the end of the turn. Whenever an evocation is defeated, its owner summons an evocation of the same type in that spot. In turn 4, A New Life. Rose gains 5 points. Each mage gains a Mark of the Old One. So the Mark of the Old Ones are tied into the legendary scenarios. So if you just want to play and you don't want to use them, you'll have to use the other side of the card. Or if you pick up Lex, you can always use those ones as well. Otherwise, you can always, like any other mode, if you want to use the cards, you can add them into any other mode. Alright, so let's take a look at this legendary scenario, since it's one of the last things we have to look at. So, we have From the Depths. Scenario allows you to play a special event from the world. In the depths, mages must stop the awakening of the great old ones, among the few entities capable of countering the Black Rose. So additional setups. Follow steps 1, 2, and 3 instead of indicated on these points. Arrange the rooms as shown on the image below. Each mage draws 2 Mark of the Old One cards and keeps one, revealing it in front of themselves, putting the other to the bottom of the deck. Place one of the 7 idle tokens random on each room. Place the event card on the side dedicated to the legendary scenario. So that's why we have that extra one, or a side for that. So the room's going to look like that. So you're going to place the marks in there. So 1, and then 2, 3, then 4, 5, and then 6 and 7 are on the other sides. The following rules apply while playing as legendary scenario. The Idol of the Old Ones. Each idol token has a heart value of 5 and suffers damage as if it were a model of an evocation. Place the damage cube suffer on the idol token next to it. When the idol token is defeated, the mage who inflicted the most damage gains the token. Remove damage cubes from the room where it's located. The idol token can be used by the mages who has applied the effect during their turn. Effects below. As if an effect reported on one of their completed quests. If they do, the mage discards the idol token. Whenever a spell with a water element is played, the Rose places 1 stability in the non-rebuilt room marked the lowest number on the image to the right. If any of the time during the game all rooms are built, the game ends immediately and the Rose wins the game. Oh, so that's kind of cool. So anytime you play a water spell, it's going to automatically, it's going to make, you're going to place stuff in all the different rooms. And then we do have this, right? Turn 1, all spells in your water spells till the end of turn. So yeah, that means every spell you play during that event, they're going to get a place in the lowest room. So start trying to replace the Black Rose room first, and they'll go outwards from there. If you have the idol tokens, so depending on which one you have, you get to do a special thing. It would have been nice if they had an actual card for this. If you have the 1, you can place or remove 2 instability in a room. 2, restore an exhausted physical action token. 3, choose one of your ready spells and rotate it 180 degrees. Oh, so you can use the other side. That's cool. 4 is gain 3 points. 5, choose a mission not completed as if you had fulfilled its condition. 6, choose good your ready spells and spot their positions without rotating them. Or 7, inflict 3 damage on any model. So neat. So basically what you want to do is do 5 damage to one of these things, and you get to pick up an extra effect. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, there's the idol tokens. And then on the back, drop that off the table. We'll have the different sides for them. Yeah, so that's pretty fun that we get the extra little things for those. And then the Mark of the Old Ones. Name, Old One title, Old One symbol, and then the effect. So it says, each mage starts the game with the Mark of the Old One card. See additional stuff. A mage may use the effects of the marked Old Ones throughout the game unless otherwise stated on its text. If for any reason a mage gains a new Mark of the Old One, they discard the previous one and apply the effects from that point on. So it's basically just getting an extra beneficial effect at the beginning of the game. So if we take a look at them, so on the back, they're going to have kind of like an odd coloring rows on there and little tentacles just so we know that that's what they are. So if we look at these, we're going to have, if you get Cthulhu, the sleeping one, your Dagons have +1 health and +1 attack. Bastion, Master of the Crabs. Combat spells inflict 1 damage less on you and your evocations. Einhort, the Pale Beast. When you must perform an attack, you may decide not to remove 1 instability from your space. Golgorth, the Forgotten One. Gorolth. For the start of turn 1, search and remove 1 personal spell in your library from the game. Then draw 1 Forgotten spell and add it to your Grimoire and shuffle it. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not even sure how you pronounce this. Mnamaqua, Lord of the Black Lake. The numerical part of the target on your continued spell becomes anything. Oh, neat. So if it says like evocation, like 1 space away, it can become evocation any space away. If it says target room 2 spaces away, it can become target's room anywhere. That's pretty cool. Rang Tegoth, Kigith, he of the Ivory Throne. If you own the crown during the Black Rose phase, gain 1 point. Shakath, Mistress of the Abysmal Slime. When you must place any amount of instability, you can heal yourself the same value. Yig, Father of the Serpents. Once per turn during your activation, before or after performing an action, you may remove 1 of your instabilities. If you do, 1 of your evocations activates. And then the final one is the Blind Idol, Dweller of the Abyss. During your activation, before or after performing an action, choose 1 of your evocations and remove it. If you do, turn an exhausted physical action token on your side to its available side. Neat, so you sacrifice an evocation to gain an extra action token. So yeah, those are pretty cool. That's a neat little extra thing. Again, it's listed as being part of that legendary scenario, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't, if you wanted to play any other game, pass these out to everything else. The only thing is you would end up having to at least have the Daigons set aside, because that 1 card does summon them. But yes, that's a fun little addition to the game, just to add an extra little, like, hey, here's a cool element that you get instead of getting, like, extra jinx or upgrade spells. You get these extra little bonus starting cards that kind of boost everybody. And really, it's only that 1 with the Daigon. Otherwise, all the rest don't really mention anything specific. And then if you're playing with that event, you get the option of, you start with 1, and at the end of the thing, you get another 1. So at the last turn, you're going to get something completely different. Which could be very beneficial, could be very bad for you. Just kind of depends on what you get and what your plan was. Alright, so that is what we have for the Black Rose Duel Void. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Come check out Duel's Lex if you haven't, if you want to see what's in that set. Also check out all the rest of the Black Rose Wars stuff, the Nova Eekis crossover stuff, if you'd like to see those contents, the Ashes magazines, to see some of the cool crossover material there, plus any of the other Ludus Magnus Studio games that we go ahead and show off. There's our Dagons there. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.